Imagine this. You're walking down the aisle. Your partner is emotional. The music is playing. Everyone is standing. And then, right in the aisle, there it is. An iPad or a phone. Maybe 3 phones. Possibly someone's uncle leaning out like he was hired by National Geographic. And now, instead of your photographer capturing your partner's reaction, we're photographing a tiny glowing rectangle with a case from 2018. So today, let's talk about whether you should have an unplugged wedding ceremony, what it actually means, and how to ask for it without sounding rude. Hey, I'm Stephen Barnett, and I'm a Pennsylvania wedding photographer. I photograph weddings throughout central PA, including Harrisburg, Hershey, Lancaster, York, Gettysburg, and the general surrounding areas. And today, we are talking about unplugged wedding ceremonies. Should you have one? Do you need one? Is it rude to ask guests to put their phones away? And what should you actually say if you want people to be present during the ceremony? Let's start with what an unplugged ceremony means. An unplugged wedding ceremony simply means you ask the guests to put away phones, cameras, tablets, and other devices during the ceremony. Broad strokes, this generally applies from the processional through the first kiss, and sometimes through the recessional too. It does not mean guests can never take photos of the day. It doesn't mean you're being controlling. It doesn't mean that you hate fun. It means for one specific part of the wedding day, you want people to be present, and you want your photographer to be able to document the ceremony clearly. And honestly, I think that is very reasonable. Now, as a photographer, I'm going to tell you the truth. Phones can absolutely affect ceremony photos. Not every time, not every guest, but yes, they can. Guests lean into the aisle. Guests hold their phones above their heads. Guests step out at the wrong time and forget that the professional photographer is standing behind them. Guests accidentally block the first kiss. They block your partner's face while you're walking down the aisle, and sometimes they're so focused on recording the moment that they miss the moment. That's the part that couples do not always think about. The phone issue is not only about the photos, it's also about the experience. You're walking towards your person. Your family and friends are there. This is one of the most meaningful parts of the day in your life, and instead of seeing faces, you see screens. That can feel different. So if you're considering an unplugged ceremony, the biggest benefit is presence. Your guests can actually watch, they can react, they can cry, they can smile, they can actually look at you, not through a phone, but with their actual eyes. Wild concept. The second benefit is cleaner ceremony photos. When phones are away, the aisle is clear, the reactions are more visible. The first kiss is less likely to be blocked. Your photographer has a better chance of capturing the ceremony in a way that feels timeless and focused. And no, that does not mean your photographer is being dramatic. We are not anti-phone. We are anti-uncle standing in the aisle during the kiss. There's a difference. The third benefit is that it protects the mood of the ceremony. Ceremonies are usually emotional, even if they're short, even if they're simple. Even if you're not doing anything super formal, there's still a shift when everyone is present. The room feels different. The aisle feels different. Your vows feel different. The attention is right where it should be, on the two people getting married. Now, are there reasons not to do an unplugged ceremony? Sure. Some couples just don't care. Some couples love seeing guest photos. Some people want guests to capture their own view. Some families are very used to taking photos, and the couple doesn't want to push against that. That's fine. It's not a moral issue. You're not a better couple if you do unplugged. You're not a worse couple if you don't. The question simply is, what do you want the ceremony to feel like? If you love the idea of guests snapping photos and you don't care if phones appear in some images, then maybe you don't need an unplugged ceremony. But if the thought of phones in your aisle makes your soul leave your body, then you'll probably want to say something. The next question is, how do you tell guests? This is where couples get nervous. They don't want to sound rude. They don't want people to feel scolded. They don't want to be dramatic. But here's the thing. You can make the request very kindly. You're not yelling at people. You're inviting them to be present. And there are a few ways you can do that. First, you can put it on a ceremony sign. Something like, "Welcome to our Unplugged ceremony. Please turn off and put away all cell phones and cameras. We invite you to be fully present with us. We promise to share the photos after the wedding." It's simple, it's clear, it's polite. Second, you can have your officiant announce it. I actually think this is stronger than a sign by itself because people ignore signs. I know, tragic, but true. You can have the officiant say, "Before we begin, the couple kindly asks that all phones and cameras be put away during the ceremony. They have hired a photographer to capture the day, and they invite you to be fully present with them in this moment." And that works because people are already listening. It's more likely to be followed. Third, you can include it on your wedding website. This is helpful if you want to set the expectation early. You can say, "We're having an unplugged ceremony so everyone can be fully present. Please keep phones and cameras tucked away during the ceremony. Afterward, feel free to take photos during cocktail hour in the reception." That gives guests clarity. It also reassures them that they are not banned from taking photos all day. You want clear, not hostile, warm, not passive aggressive. The goal is to not shame people, but to protect the moment. Here's another thing to think about if you are going unplugged. Tell the most important people in advance. Parents, grandparents, wedding party, close family, especially anyone you know who loves taking photos. You don't need to make it a huge deal. Just say, "Hey, just so you know, we're doing an unplugged ceremony, so phones will be away until after the recessional." That helps avoid surprises, and if you have someone who is likely to ignore it, maybe your officiant announcement needs to be very clear. Kind, but clear. Now, what about after the ceremony? This is where I recommend being specific. A lot of couples only want phones away during the ceremony, not the whole day. So tell guests that. After the ceremony, let people take photos during cocktail hour and the reception if you're okay with that. Some of my favorite reception moments happen because guests are excited, laughing, taking selfies, recording dance floor moments, and just having a good time. That's totally different from someone leaning into the aisle during the first kiss. The ceremony is the sacred part. The reception is usually more flexible. You can absolutely make different rules for different parts of the day. You can also ask guests not to post photos until you do. That's another thing couples worry about. Maybe you don't want blurry guest photo posted before you have a chance to share your own wedding announcement. That's valid. If that matters to you, say it. You can put it on your website or have a small note that says, "We kindly ask guests not to post ceremony photos until we had a chance to share our first photos." Is everyone going to follow it perfectly? Probably not. People can be people, but clear expectations help. Now, from a photography perspective, here's my honest recommendation. If ceremony photos are important to you, and you want clean images of the aisle, reactions, vows, the first kiss, maybe a dip, and then the recessional, a unplugged ceremony is worth considering, especially if you have a narrow aisle, especially if your ceremony space is tight, especially if you have guests seated close to the aisle, especially if you know your family loves taking photos, especially if you want people fully present, but don't rely just on a sign. use a officiant announcement. That's the part I would really recommend. Signs are cute, but announcements work. You can do both. The sign sets the tone, the officiant makes it clear. And if you're worried this sounds rude, I promise, a kind, unplugged ceremony request is not rude. You're asking people to put away their phones for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. That's not outrageous. It's not mean. It's not cruel and unusual punishment. It's not controlling. That's asking your guests to be present while you get married. And honestly, that's kind of the whole point. So if you're deciding whether to have this unplugged ceremony, ask yourself these questions. Do we care if phones are visible? Do we want guests to be fully present? Would it bother us if someone posted a blurry photo before we shared anything? Is our ceremony space tight? Do we have a guest who may step into the aisle? Do we want our officiant to make an announcement? If the answer to most of those is yes, then an unplugged ceremony is probably a good idea. If not, that's okay too. There is no rule that every couple has to do this, but if you want it, say it clearly, say it kindly, and do not feel guilty for protecting the ceremony experience. If you're planning a wedding in PA and you want a photographer who helps you think through the photo side of the day, including ceremony coverage, family photos, timeline, and the little details couples do not always know to ask about, I would love to talk with you. Head to my website, send me an inquiry, call me, beat me if you want to reach me, and tell me what you're planning. I'd love to help you feel comfortable, prepared, and taken care of on your wedding day.